I left my job in May and tripled my income by the end of June.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I thought you had doubled it in a month, but now you tripled it. Oh, I love that. Hello, hello, hello. It's Holly Rustic here with the Grant Writing and Funding podcast. I'm really excited. So we're kind of doing this unorthodox where my power just went out, but I have data going on. So we're recording this because I had a so gas and I got light in here. So we're like on Zoom. So funny. But I was like, oh yeah, it's tropical depression season. It is. But yeah, it's how we roll. But at least it's good we have data. So I got Antoinette Etheridge on the podcast today. Really excited. Antoinette is a grant professional for Antoinette Writes LLC. And you're also in the Freelance Grant Writer Academy. And I was like, oh my goodness, girl, you got to come on the podcast because I've been seeing all kinds of things happening in your business since you joined. You've quit your full-time job. You've been able to get at least 42,000 in nonprofit client sales. You've been winning grants, like all of the things. You've doubled your revenue essentially, right? Within a month of quitting your job, like amazing. So I wanted to have you on the show to talk about your experience in the academy, what you do in your business, and all of the things. So people thinking about joining the academy or wanting to hire you for your services can hear you on the podcast. So welcome, Antoinette. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. It feels a little surreal. You almost seem untouchable sometimes, but I think, what I'll share in a little bit, a lot of the resources make you even more real. And so having this opportunity to sit here with you, I'm really appreciative. So if I rewind a little bit, I had to actually look to see when I started, and it was in March. That's when I officially joined. So I was in that stage of, I see the emails, I see the posts on LinkedIn. I feel like I know what I'm doing. Do I really need to make this investment? And I think that we as professionals, especially in this field, need to constantly be growing, constantly be working on your skills. So a lot of my training was on the federal side and less of the business structure. And so I love the training that I had, did a lot of grant writing, A to Z, and learn your basics, all a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I still felt a little stuck. So when I joined the Freelance Academy in March, I had 2 clients and I was a full-time employee. My professional background is actually in teaching. So I was an elementary school teacher for almost 10 years.
Nice.
And the pandemic changed things for
Oh.
me. And I question, why am I doing this? We know why we teach. We know why we're there to serve. And so the inner purpose was always the same, but I think when you're dealing with the job and all the things that come with it, that's what's draining. And that's the one thing that I didn't want to go back to the classroom. So I taught virtually for a couple years, got used to working from home, and I was writing grants for my church. So
Okay.
in the middle of a
Nice.
crisis, that's how I really learned my grant writing. And I was kind of thrown into it. So I was thrown into it like, hey, team, come together, let's figure this thing out. And we were winning grants. So it was like, okay, this is fun. Maybe, I can do something with this. So that was 2020. And in 2022, I got my first client that was like, okay, I guess it's a client because I'm going to actually charge her for something. But there was no Antoinette Writes LLC. I was just Antoinette Ethridge, and someone wanted to hire me. So it was fun, it was new, and it was like, okay, girl, you can do this. All right. So then 2023, I really just trained, bettered my skills, and all of that. But in the midst of that, I struggled the most I probably ever did on the entrepreneurship side. And so January 24th, 2023 is the day I officially registered with the state of North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina for Antoinette Writes LLC. And we always start the year with resolutions and
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do all the things you're gonna do, right? And I said, you know what? I'm going to do the business. I have a client who's paying me. We're getting grants. I'm doing it alone. And there's still resources out there for me to continue learning. So it can only go up from here, right? I mean, can it really get worse? So I said, well, maybe I won't go back to teaching. So one client, I felt like I had it going on, and it was a struggle. And so my husband, to this day, I make sure everybody knows he is and was then at the hardest part, I think, of my entrepreneurship journey, my biggest supporter. And we had to go through it together. And the only reason I say that because you make decisions, right, as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Yes, you're making it for yourself, but we have 3 children. We have
Yeah.
a house to take care of. He's working, and you don't want your decision to cause everything to crumble.
Yeah.
So, we're really spiritual and strong in our prayer life. And I think that without the conversations and the inner tenacity to really just kind of keep pushing through it, I wouldn't be here today.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I'm thinking, what, fast forwarding, got the LLC, and I was probably making $900 a month on a
Wow.
client,
Mhm. Oh, for one client. Yeah. Okay.
one client.
Love it.
And I was trying to live off of that. And,
Mm.
I'm trying to live off of it
Yeah.
and not cause chaos around here. And I, I still just don't know how it worked. I don't. And I think that I had to learn, in my prayers, stop trying to figure everything out, right? Literally just take today for today,
Mhm.
figure out what the plan is for today. And when I say I hustled, figured out LinkedIn, figured out how to sell myself without selling myself and marketing, um, I just figured it out. And YouTube University was my best friend. So I know it's a lot like of the before, but that really was the before. The before was heavy on trial and error,
Yeah.
see if this works. Okay, I can't even tell you, Holly, how many times I changed my payment structure, my
Mm-hmm.
fees,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even still today, I'm like, should I make another change? But
Kidding.
it's so many things, like you just keep learning through it. So I went through a federal grant writing training,
Mhm.
the beginning phase of that entrepreneurship journey with Dr. Beverly Browning,
Love
who
her. Love
serves as
her.
my mentor today. She is so phenomenal.
Mhm.
And that was the most intimidating class I'd ever had.
Mhm.
So in my mind, I'm like, I just want to have a business.
Mhm.
That class was learning how to write federal grants, and federal grants, I'm like running away from those, right?
Mhm.
So I think 2023, that's all 2023. So 2024 comes, and I had got my job as a development officer
Nice.
and, quote unquote, grant writer, fundraising manager. That's really what that is.
So you
And
changed your industry from teaching at that time?
I left teaching June of 2022.
Okay, yeah. After the pandemic, all the
Probably
things.
did say that. Yeah, it took 2 years, and I said, it's time.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so you had that one client and that was it. That's why you're saying it was
that
only not,
one client,
yeah, like,
one client in November of 2022,
mhm.
and I rolled with it. And then I got another client in February, but you're still charging kind of low. So it
Yeah.
wasn't a lot to really talk about, but I I was riding with uh what I thought was doable.
Mhm.
as a new grant writer, you're learning this. You should not charge a lot because you're new. They don't want to pay you a lot because you're new. Everything is because you're new. That's what I was telling myself. Not
Mm.
realizing that I'm still getting the grants, no matter if I
Yeah.
was in the
Yeah.
So, it's mind play. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, because I know I'm missing things, but that's November 2022. And then I got another client February 2023. That was right after starting my LLC. Um, but I was still rolling on about 900 per month on grant
Okay.
writing services.
Mm-hmm.
It lasted as long as it could, where July I got hired for the development officer position. I was really excited about it, and it was pretty much double a teaching salary.
Mm-hmm.
So I really thought I was hot stuff,
Mm-hmm. Oh
Now
yeah.
I'm really writing grants for big organizations, and I still have my clients. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I clients hadn't gone anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you have on one side, and people say this a lot, right? You start to realize the better you get, the faster you work.
Yeah.
So I have a job. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the same thing for a salaried position, but then you have taxes that come out. You have all the things, so you really don't see all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm doing the same thing for my clients over here. And even though I hadn't really solicited for new clients, I'm like, man, I could get like 5 clients and
Mm-hmm.
throw the whole job away
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yep. Yep. After I doubled, I'm ready to go again. Yep.
So I'm going to pivot this into my journey with Holly Rustic's resources, right? Because I joined the academy in March of 2024 and was still straddling the fence a little bit about my job,
Oh.
stressing about the time commitment. That was a full-time position. I want to keep my clients, but I want to get more clients. I'm only one me. Like it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I attended one of the Tuesday coaching calls. And I had been attending them, but I also had client meetings around some of those times,
Mhm.
and I was choosing my client meetings, right?
Yeah.
So I sat in one Tuesday coaching call. Holly has a live coaching call every Tuesday now. Then it was biweekly, but um, I sat in the call and I'm just listening to everybody. And the purpose of the call is for you to hear people's experiences. They ask their questions, and those are always good learning moments, right?
Mhm.
Somebody was in there just talking about jobs and all these things that come along with it, kind of like what I'm doing now. And I hopped in the chat and just said, I'm just so torn. I just need to leave my job. I just
Mhm.
need to leave my job. And this was in April.
Mhm.
So it hadn't been too long. And I said, I just need to leave my job. I'm making X amount over here with my clients. I just can't figure this out, but I'm just leaning more towards leaving my job.
Yeah.
And it might have been 3 people who hopped in there and gave me the biggest push I ever needed. The same things that I tell people now, right?
Yep.
But telling me, girl, just go do it. Just go do
Mhm. Mhm.
it. You'll do it. You're making that. You're already 10 steps ahead. What are you scared of? Right?
Mhm.
What are you scared of? And as I started this year, 2024, I said, I'm focusing on my peace this year,
Right.
protecting my peace,
Yeah.
focusing on my peace. I'm not going to let clients disturb my
Mhm.
peace, which I
Yep.
still let happen to, even to today. It's just part of it, right? But being intentional about what I let into my business. This is my business.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if I can make it work and make it make sense, then let's just do it. So I left my job in May
Mhm.
and tripled my income by the end. by the end of June.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I thought you had doubled it in a month, but now you tripled it. Oh, I love that. I love
And
that.
it was, so I got between leaving, it
Hmm.
was, I'd say maybe around like 45 days or so.
Yeah.
Um, I had secured 3 new clients. And what I did, I
Hmm.
had officially gotten serious about going through your 30-day master class for writing
Okay.
the master grant template and all of
Mhm.
that, because I think it's a habit, you think what you don't need. That's what
Yeah.
we tell ourselves. And you go in and say, oh, let me brush up a little bit on this. And ooh, I see this over here. So you're kind of picking around the modules. Well,
Hmm.
I went through the 30-day course and just said, let me just do it. I
Yeah.
do know how to write, but I want to actually get some feedback.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I even wowed myself.
Ooh,
It was awesome.
you're like, I'm good.
And
I know this now.
feedback.
Mm.
And, this is after writing grants, getting them and things like that.
Yeah.
But how often do we as grant writers, you submit grants for clients and you don't get any feedback?
Yeah. Especially
Then you
foundation
just
grants. Hmm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you're left to tell them, yeah, they didn't give any feedback, even if you try to call. So at least I wanted to rule out there's nothing wrong with my writing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Get
you go through
confident. Hmm.
confidence.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I had to go through a lot of those different mental shifts and
Hmm.
telling myself I could. It's not you. Also trying to help keep my clients motivated, because it really could be a lot of different things. You really just never know.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the live coaching, that's what really did it for me. And
I
that
love
one
it. And it was in the chat. You didn't even ask that. It
in
was,
the
you got the
chat,
coaching in the chat.
I didn't even have coaching. It was the chats, and it
I
was the
love that.
motivation from peers
Yeah.
who could either experience or just, I don't even know if they had experienced those things.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing that I would love to highlight that has truly helped me, I had to write a federal grant for the very first time alone. I used
Mm-hmm.
to do it as a collaborative piece and everyone takes their chunks. I had to do one alone, and it taught me a lot about myself. Um,
Hmm.
but I had some questions in the wee hours of grant submission,
Yep.
and I'm a one-woman show.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm like, friend, help me. Somebody help. And then I thought of the Slack channel.
Hmm.
I hopped in the Slack channel, pitched my question, and I just had some questions about the budget. I
Hmm.
was losing my mind over the budget.
Yeah.
Federal grants are no joke, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so many people came to my rescue.
Hmm.
But it was more than that. There was one particular person, she ended up messaging me privately, and
Hmm.
we hopped on a Zoom call.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. Oh, that's so great.
We hopped on a Zoom call
Hmm.
for guidance and understanding, and she ended up being a top tier person on the
Hmm.
grant administration level.
Hmm.
So it was the help I needed,
Yeah.
someone I had never actually met before.
Hmm.
And you can trust, what you hear. We're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
But I think the hard part about starting a business by yourself, you're
Hmm.
by yourself for a while if you never branch off to hire anybody else. And coming from grant teams,
Hmm.
collaboration, and things of that nature, it's nice to have a second set of eyes to read through something, edit, or all of those things. I'm the 5 roles in one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is another benefit that I think helps keep the business side going, because you really don't feel alone in this.
Yeah.
So that 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 was very powerful for me. So um then I went through the budget narratives and all of that you have in there, and that was super helpful. So anyway, I feel like I'm rambling now, but I
I love it,
think
though. 'Cause- Yeah, no, I mean, you had the support you needed, and I love that you got that. from somebody, and you said, like, oh, you're alone, but you're not when you're in the academy. Like you're like, if I have a question, I have a resource. I can jump in, I can ask a question. I'm going to get feedback. If I'm writing a grant, I can get unlimited reviews on my grant proposals. Like, just having that will help increase your confidence, as you've seen. And I love how the community in there is really supportive, as you mentioned. Like, we're all writing grants. We all understand it feels like a silo, but we don't, we've created this community that you're part of to have that. And people like really bring their value to the table to share, which I love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. And I think it helps keep the coaching and the mentoring.
Mhm.
I think as you're learning and we're trying things out, seeing what works, it's really helpful to hear what others are doing,
Yeah.
um, fees and charges, different revenue ideas and
Mhm.
different things. I love the coaching calls for that.
Mhm.
But the confidence you mentioned, I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest thing that has grown for me since
Mhm.
leaving my job in May.
Yeah.
I'm finding myself in conversations, even with potential clients and things that I might have been intimidated to answer before, that I'm literally playing in my head a resource of yours that I've read of
Mhm.
how to respond to some
That's
an
good.
experience.
Mhm.
Experience always helps, but I can recall some of the resources that I've printed for myself,
Mhm.
different templates that I've edited that have truly helped just kind of streamline the process for
Yeah.
everything grant writing business. So yeah, that it's been a game changer.
Oh, I
It
love
has.
that. Yeah, because we have the thing that one of the resources is the Petsky questions, the Petsky objections, and it lists like all those objections you're going to get. Like, as a grant writer, nonprofits are going to ask you all of these questions, and sometimes we get stuck on calls because we're not exactly sure how to respond to them, and then we spin out, right? So yeah, I'm so glad that that's been useful to you, or just sharing policy things, right? Okay, I know how to respond to this, right? So, oh, that's so good. I'm so
Yeah.
happy it's been helpful for you. Because you could
Mhm.
spin out. Do you think if you hadn't joined, or if you didn't join the academy, do you think you still might be at that job?
I don't think I'd still be at the job, but I
Mhm.
don't think I would be at 6 clients now. I'd probably still be at 2.
Wow. So now you might be looking for another job. It's
Mm,
like,
I'd be
if
looking
you
for
stuck
another.
it too.
Yes, but I probably wouldn't have been at that one still.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's
Yeah.
good to know. Like, yeah, and I'm so glad that you mentioned the biggest thing. Yes, there's the resources, there's the support, but also the confidence. And thank you for sharing your journey, because a lot of people, it's hard for them to articulate. And I think you've done it so well, as far as the personal journey and how you as an individual actually just become more of yourself. It might look like change, but I really feel like we just peel back the layers and just become more of our true confident nature as we are, right?
Mhm.
In the entrepreneurial journey, because it is a journey.
Journey.
It
It's
is.
an ongoing journey, and I just feel like we should constantly be evolving in it. And
Yeah.
so I just found some additional resources that I know I want to tap into that you have in there that I haven't looked at yet. And
Mhm.
so I think that we meet different types of clients with different needs all the time.
Yeah.
And even though the questions might be the same,
Mhm.
you can't always respond the same way.
Right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep. They're in a different place.
They're
Yep.
in a different place, the organizations are different. I've worked with a lot of startups, and I find myself doing a lot of grant readiness. So I'm coming up with my own ideas on how to even make the onboarding stronger using what we have,
Mhm.
but just positioning them in a place that still pulls the teacher out of me, because that's where my heart
Mhm.
is 100%. But I genuinely believe that we do better when we know better. And grant writing, why I call myself a grant professional, um, and not a grant writer, because I think people hire you as a grant writer and they don't just want you to write.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
just writing.
And then their expectation is kind of like they want you to do more, but at the end of the day, they just want to pay you as a writer, right?
Yep.
So has that been something that you've repositioned, just that even that title just throughout the last 6 months or so? Like, has that been something kind of new?
Yep,
Yeah.
it
Has that
is.
been part of the program too, of how we teach, like you're actually a grant strategist, like
Mm-hmm.
repositioning your mentality in that position
Yep.
too. Yeah.
I think that I shifted my title when I left my
Mhm.
job
Yeah.
simply because I knew I would be doing more. And
Mhm.
so for me, and as I'm working on some project management certifications,
Mhm.
I kind of want to close the circle, close the
Yeah.
gap for the client because we were helping them fund their projects, but
Mhm.
then who's helping them after?
Yeah.
And even though that's grant administration, grant managers, and they have their own separate things that they do, I'm looking more at the project side. And so understanding the life cycle of a project, that has also helped me have conversations with my clients with the grants
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
and understanding the follow through to
Mhm.
even be able to illustrate that before you even get the money.
Yeah.
So, our skills don't go, they don't just vanish,
Mhm.
your whole professional career. There's always ways to just throw the skills in there. Everything I feel is aligned with my professional journey. But I like to educate, and I think that teaching has really helped solidify the purpose here for me. Do
Mhm.
I think I'll be writing grants forever? I don't. I
Mhm.
definitely see a consulting path,
Mhm.
um, and more on the teaching and the how-tos and
Yeah.
work and things like that. But
Oh yeah, I see you in the mentorship doing all that. That's what I see. And yeah, and I don't know if you know, I have a teaching background as well. Yeah.
dang
Yeah,
it.
I taught fourth grade and sixth grade, and then I also taught in university. So yeah, so I have it, and my mom's been a 35 plus year educator. Like, yeah, so yeah, I come from
It's a
that.
special gift. We
It
are a
is.
unique breed, right?
Especially for elementary. Let me just say, yeah, I was like, ooh, when you said elementary during COVID, I was like, oh, hard times. Like,
And it was the best for me. I
yeah,
had to
because these are
teach
kids that
first
learn.
graders and second graders
Wow.
through camera. Best relationships ever. I mean,
Oh,
the best.
I love
So
that.
I feel like a computer, most of my clients are not even here in North Carolina.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we've evolved to do other things in their organization. So I think that who you are sells it. And,
Mhm.
I've always been taught you don't just send people your prices, have a conversation with them first and then
Yeah.
send packages. And so that's the model I use. And after a quick little consultation, then I'll send it off. And, sometimes it's enough
Yep.
because of the conversation. So I think that you got to stay knowledgeable. You can't just jump in this thing. It's not made that way.
Yeah.
Um, because you want to serve your clients with
Yeah.
120%.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah,
I
it's been
love
great.
that. And have you learned, like, I know that you've mentioned before, like how the pricing, like we have like a proposal like on Canva that we do a template for y'all so you can help with that. And then we have our ethical nonprofit strategy. So has that been helpful to recruit those clients, you think?
It has been. I think because I had my own little template, very simple,
Mhm.
to the point, and very boring.
Mm.
And I edited the template that you have in there for the grant writing proposal.
Mhm.
And I changed it up, made it to my color scheme to match
Yep.
my logo
Yep.
and everything. And that I think I received the most feedback from. And so some people kept the proposal. I'm now saying that I need to like honor the price just for 30 days because I've changed things
Yep.
here, there.
Yep. Yep.
But people will typically interview or compare mine to someone else's and say they were just wowed by the way I presented my services.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
literally have it exactly how you have it. Just
Mhm.
the numbers are different,
Yeah.
obviously, my education and things like that. And so I think I mean, I'd be naive to say that a lot of that did not come from actually using what you provided, because I've been doing this for so long. So I think that humans don't like to read. I
Hmm.
think
Yep.
that's natural, right? And if you just get to the point,
Hmm.
and you present the information where it's all right there, kind of
Yeah,
in one, hop into your prices, show people options that they might have, because you have to expect that the person on the other side reading it doesn't know what you're talking about.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep. You're like, I'll do this and use this software and get into this thing, and you're using all the acronyms, and they're like, huh?
Yeah. So
And
you
to
just
your
want to keep it
point, like
simple.
it can be, yeah, like business can be boring and that can be great to your point. But then having something where you can display it in a way that looks professional and easy to like actually absorb, right? For the client, like we want it easy so they understand like our process is seamless, it's efficient, you can follow it, here's all the information you need and nothing more, so they can make a decision, right? So I love that it's been helpful for you to
Very,
showcase that in a professional way. Yeah.
very helpful. It has.
Love
Yep.
that. Oh, I love that. So, yeah, so you had all of the, thank you for coming on and just sharing your experience. First of all, like it's so good to hear more about your background and everything. And I love that you've gotten so much support from your husband. That's like you shout out to him again, to like support you and be like, yeah, let's do this. I mean, I'm a mom. I know it's like decisions to do things that are big, right? There's a lot to think about. So it is nice having the support. And I also a shout out just to the Academy, all the members in general to supporting you. Like so good that we've created this culture, right? That is supportive and not competitive. I know people even sub grant or sub contract one another, all of the things, right? So because they realize just like you pretty quickly, I can build a business pretty quickly and I don't need to have a ton of clients. Like I can
Mhm.
have streamlined services and I'm getting more people coming to me than I can even take on sometimes. So it's a
Yeah.
great place to be like, hey, I'll throw you one. And when I'm down one, can you throw me one? Right. You know what I mean? Like the whole
Yep.
thing. Yeah. So I love that so much that you've gotten so much support from the program and confidence. I like applaud you and betting on yourself, right? Like
That's
betting on yourself. Yeah.
it is. And you want to model that for your kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you don't tell them everything that's going on, but they see me here in front of the computer. They can tell you about my business. They know what's going on, and they should be able to speak about mommy and what she's doing.
Love
So
it.
that this is not for nothing, right?
Exactly, exactly. Oh, I love that so much. And have you found like being home, like you're able, like obviously you work from home, you worked from home before, like as well, but have you been able to like keep that balance as you've been bringing on more clients, as you're like, okay, I'm making more income than ever now, triple my amount, but are we keeping a balance too? Are you able to like say what that looks like?
If I'm being transparent, the answer is no,
Yeah.
because I don't know when to walk away from the writing. As
Mm,
if, when I get back to the computer tomorrow, it still is not going to be submitted. So
yeah.
I think just a personal thing I need to work on.
Yeah.
But what I love compared to when I was working from home, I couldn't walk away from teaching 15 first graders.
Right. Yeah.
There is no flexibility in that. I
Yep.
don't miss anything right now. If I want to I took my son to the doctor today. I
Yeah.
stopped what I was doing. You keep your emails on your phone just in case, but I structured my day so that I could stop whenever I wanted. Sometimes I have to take a brain break and I might go take me a little nap.
Yep. Yep.
And I come back
Yep.
and hop back to it. So I think that you can't get that anywhere.
No.
You can't get that anywhere. And no job is going to give you that flexibility, even if you're working from home. I don't
Yeah.
have to walk around with headphones on and things
Yeah.
like that to pretend I'm paying attention in a meeting. I control when I'm gonna have client meetings. So
Mhm.
um, I love the autonomy I have in the business and the control I'm still trying to find with just walking away from the computer, because that's just
Yep.
me.
Yep.
But yeah,
I
it's
love
it's
that.
it's great.
Yeah. And those are all like, that's a part of the evolution. Like, look how fast it happened for you. Like, oh my gosh, I like went from 2 clients to 6 and quitting a job and managing this. Like, that's just your next glass ceiling that you will shatter.
Mhm.
So it's like learning that, and then you'll get on to your next thing, right? So then you're like, okay, now I've got you know, what it's like always like there's these different thermostat points as you build out your business, and you're just hitting a new one now. And it's
Hitting
like,
the
okay, I gotta figure
milestones.
this out. Yeah, gotta
Yep,
figure this
just
out.
just hitting the milestones, and you have to come into the year with a goal. My goal this year was to double what I made last year
Mm-hmm.
for on the business side
Mm-hmm.
in a 12-month window, and I already met that, I
You
think, in March.
tripled, right? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, um, it feels good. It's scary sometimes because you almost need to stay in a hustle mindset.
Mm,
But maybe I need to learn how to not have to do that. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, because
Because
you've been talking
I
about peace.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never really had to truly look for clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I don't really ever have to be able to do that,
Yeah.
because relationship building is really beneficial to me. And so a lot of my clients come referral and out of state friends here, things like that. So I'll continue to pray over that. And I think if you're good to people, they're good back most
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
times.
Most times. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Congratulations to tripling your revenue in such a short period of time, quitting your full-time job, setting up your life in a way that just makes more sense for you, and just, you know, just trusting in yourself. Like, I love that so much. Like, that's so beautiful to see. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for
thank you again.
having me.
Where can people find you? Antoinette, where can everyone find you?
Where can you find me? Well, my website, www.awrites.org. And then I'm on Instagram. I think we need to stay on LinkedIn. That is the professional platform for us if we
Mhm.
want to find like-minded people. I love to connect with you on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn tag is Antoinette Writes behind the hashtag. And that's me.
All right. Well, I'll add all the links in the show notes too. So you guys got to go check out the show notes, connect with Antoinette. She is just a joy, as you can tell on this podcast. So you'll definitely want to be around her. So yes, if you want support, and where do you kind of lean in writing grants? What are your cause areas or types of nonprofits?
I think as a teacher, I love youth leadership, youth development. And so a lot of my writing has been on community services, health and wellness.
Mhm.
So anything that's giving back to the community, I love it.
Awesome. So they can also check you out. Go there, book a call. As you said, she wants to have a chat with you, not just like look at, you can definitely see what she has online, but book a chat so you can see and connect more there. So thank you so much again, Antoinette, for being on the Grant Writing and Funding podcast. Any last words before we close out today?
No, thank you for doing what you do and
Hmm.
passing the torch because that's really what this is.
Yep.
So thank you for your hard work and thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks so much.